Kyiv has chosen military defeat over negotiations. On Monday, Vladimir Putin demanded that security forces expel the Armed Forces of Ukraine, AFU, from the Kursk region. The president noted that the enemy will continue to attempt to destabilize the situation in the border zone, and that Ukraine's invasion of Russian territory has rendered previously possible peace talks meaningless. Why has Zelensky prioritized war over dialogue, and what consequences will this bring for Ukraine? Vladimir Putin held a meeting to address the situation in Russia's border regions, which are under attack from the AFU. The primary task, of course, lies with the Ministry of Defense, to drive the enemy out of our territories and, together with the border service, ensure reliable protection of the state border, he said. Putin also called on the FSB and the National Guard to ensure effective combat against enemy sabotage and reconnaissance groups, SRGs. Civil agencies, in turn, must provide law enforcement with everything they need. And finally, all of us together with the leaders of the relevant regions must focus on the main task. That is, supporting our people who need help and protection, Putin emphasized. What is there to talk about? The president explained why Kyiv rejected proposals to return to a peaceful plan for resolving the conflict. The enemy is striving to improve its negotiating position for the future. But what negotiations can even be considered with people who indiscriminately strike civilians, target civilian infrastructure, or try to create threats to nuclear energy facilities? What can we possibly discuss with them? He added that these actions also have a military aim, to stop the advance of Russian forces in Donbass and Novorossiya. However, the pace of the Russian army's offensive operations has increased by 50%, and along the entire line of contact, our armed forces are advancing. He also noted that AFU losses are dramatically increasing, including among the most combat-ready units being deployed to the Russian border. The enemy will undoubtedly receive a fitting response, and all the objectives set before us will, without any doubt, be achieved, Putin concluded. Meanwhile, acting governor of the Kursk region Alexei Smirnov reported that the enemy controls 28 settlements. The fate of about 2,000 people living there is unknown. According to him, the depth of the enemy's penetration is 12 kilometers, with a width of 40 kilometers. The invasion has resulted in the deaths of 12 civilians, 121 have been wounded, including 10 children. A total of 121,000 people have been evacuated. According to political analyst Pavel Danilin, the meeting had important domestic political implications. All levels of government received a clear message to be honest with the public and not to conceal problems. This is a principled stance of the president. People need to know what's happening, in part to prevent certain media alarmists from stirring up unnecessary panic. Moreover, the enemy will continue attempting to attack Russian regions, send saboteurs, and stage provocations. Therefore, ensuring the safety of the people, addressing their problems, and providing direct support are also top priorities for all levels of government, he noted. At the same time, the situation in the Kursk region will not halt the advance of Russian forces in the Donbass and Novorossiya regions. The special military operation must conclude with the denazification, demilitarization, and neutral status of Ukraine if Ukraine still exists by that time, of course, the expert believes. Worsening conditions for Kyiv. The invasion of the Kursk region by the AFU has certainly radically changed the conflict. Naturally, the proposals previously voiced by Moscow are now off the table. Any discussion of negotiations has become meaningless, said Vadim Kozyulin, head of the Center for International Arms Control and Military Policy at the Diplomatic Academy of the Russian Foreign Ministry. Unfortunately, due to Zelensky's actions, military logic has prevailed over political reasoning. This means that any efforts by Global South countries to advance their own peace initiatives are doomed to fail. We certainly won't be hearing any new proposals in the near future, he added. Moreover, Putin has given our army a clear task, to drive the enemy out of the Kursk region. The situation in the region is shrouded in the fog of war, and many details are unknown. But we can be sure that the AFU will receive a fitting response, Kozyulin emphasized. Kyiv's actions have indeed closed the door on the possibility of a peaceful resolution of the conflict in the near future, added political analyst Vladimir Kornilov. And yet, not long ago, Vladimir Zelensky often spoke about the importance of dialogue with Russia and even stated the need to resolve the situation by the end of the year, he recalled. Kyiv, however, does not learn from its own mistakes. Even before the special military operation, SMO, Moscow tried to resolve differences peacefully. Then there were negotiations in Istanbul, which Kyiv disrupted under pressure from London. Each time, Ukraine finds itself facing even worse conditions than those previously offered. Its position only continues to deteriorate. As for the initiatives of potential mediators, Global South countries have repeatedly offered their own solutions to the conflict, understanding how important it is for ordinary people to see an end to the fighting. Now, however, their efforts have been doomed by Zelensky, the expert noted. Ukraine has also put its own allies in an awkward position. Western nations are frankly bewildered. American and European media are desperately trying to find logic in the actions of Zelensky's office. But even they cannot adequately explain the reasons behind what is happening, Kornilov concluded. Buffer zones in the Sumy region. From a military standpoint, expelling the enemy from the Kursk region will require a combination of ground and air operations. It's important to note that the AFU operates in small, mobile groups positioned at significant distances from one another, said military expert Alexei Leonkov. They are aided by the landscape. A wide forest belt allows them to launch covered raids on various points. Consequently, the main counterattack will likely come from Special Operations Forces, who will receive substantial support from aviation and artillery, he noted. However, to fully resolve the issue, it's crucial to establish several buffer zones in the Sumy region. These would be small areas where control could be maintained over routes leading to our border regions. This would help prevent further breakthroughs into the country's border regions, Leonkov concluded.